Kentucky's fan base, I still give the title. I give them the heavyweight title. I don't think I'm ever going to remove the belt. I mean, this is a fan base that, again, got me to where I had to unlist my home number. Okay. Years ago. So nobody's taking the title from them. They're out of their minds in a good way for the most part. But when it comes to the craziest fan bases, number 2 is wide open. And making a push for this are the Texas Tech Red Raiders. They have crushed me recently for a number of things. Number one.
Yeah, you treated them like shit. What do you expect? You talk bad about them, of course they're going to crush you.
I was in Lubbock 2 years ago. So I was in Lubbock about 15 years ago when Bob Knight was
Yeah.
When Bob Knight was ready to break the record. I went to Lubbock, and I remember this was pre-Twitter. And I remember tweeting out like writing in a blog or something like how much I didn't like Lubbock then. And like some people got a hold of it then and killed me. But I went to Lubbock 2 years ago and I really loved it. I had a blast. I went out with some guys drinking, good spots, great college atmosphere. Fans were awesome. They played Kentucky.
Did they take you to the barbecue place in the middle of nowhere? There's a barbecue restaurant in Lubbock. I don't know the name of it. I should, because I've eaten there a couple of times. It's literally in a cornfield or whatever.
Really?
Yeah,
really?
Like it's in the boonies out there. I thought they might take it because I know beer.
They did not. They did not. So I said, I did a deal, something called Chain of Command for every league about 3-4 years ago. Every league, and I polled coaches that have been in the league for an extended period of time on like 8 different categories. You know, resources, fan support, administrative support, buy games.
Just a whole immersive deal.
All of them.
Yeah.
And do you know where Texas Tech ranked?
In the Big 12 or national?
In the Big 12. I did it for all 32 leagues.
I'm going to guess you put them last.
Last. I didn't put them last. They earned it. They earned last. This was after the Elite Eight, before the national title game. It was that summer. Okay. So since then, they've gone to a national title game. They have built a new practice facility. I get it. It's changed. No longer are they the worst job in America. And I said worst job. I probably should have said toughest job. Anyway.
Worse.
I know it sounds bad. I'm not exactly I don't always pick the right words to I'm not always the most sensitive individual here. So I would say now, if I had to do it all over again, or if coaches had to do it all over again, they would probably pick Texas Tech 7th or 8th, I think, in the league. I think Kansas State is clear 10. I think TCU is 9. And 8, like Oklahoma, maybe. I don't know how much they care about basketball, like they care, but it's a football. Obviously, it's a football job. And Texas Tech fans have been out of their minds. I mean, they are DMing me, killing me. I mean, calling me names that I can't even repeat on here. It hurts my feelings. I've gone through a bunch of
you
issues.
Embrace it. I think it makes you feel good. You take the hate and it all feels like applause, like the true.
I don't care. I don't care. I mean, how did you feel when you were a player and people used to go at you and make fun of you for your injuries and call you all sorts of names? How much did you hear that, and how much did it affect you? And how did it affect you?
You definitely hear it. I didn't mind because I just thought it was funny a lot of the times. And a lot of the student sections were clever. You know, Michigan State, they're chanting "Brokeback Hummel" because I had a fractured vertebrae. We're playing in Alabama, and I think I've told this on the pod before, where they got to our Facebooks, printed out life-size photos of us in these Halloween. I was wearing a Buzz Lightyear Halloween costume, like I'm 6 years old. Like a lot of them were funny, and some of them, like I remember at Michigan State, there was this big deal because Coach Paint went after a student because we were losing by 30, and he yelled that he hopes that I blow my knee out again. And I heard it, and Paint went off, which I appreciate from him. He didn't have to do that, but he wasn't having that, so he went nuts on this dude. And I mean,
he went after him. He went after the student.
He was pissed. Yeah, he yelled at him, and they asked him about it after the game and stuff, and then they asked Izzo about it. And I'm sure Coach Izzo was like, "We just beat Purdue by 30 points, and you're going to ask me about some stupid." He had to be so mad. But for the most part, it was really funny. I remember this is amazing. Another Michigan State thing. I had a teammate, and he was a guy that didn't play a lot, and we were warming up, and we were out at the Breslin Center warming up before even warm-ups, just shooting around. And the Izzone's always there super early to heckle the other team pretty much. And they were making fun of his tattoos and like where he was from and all this stuff. And he like shot an air ball. It bothered him. He just went, put his headphones on, sat down. He was like, I'm not going to deal with this. Yeah. I mean, it can get to guys. It really can. And some of the stuff when it's personal, I know that it gets like that. But for the most part, it's, they find out your girlfriend's name. They find whatever. It's pretty harmless for the most part. I enjoyed it. I love playing on the road in the Big Ten. There was funny signs. The creativity of a lot of the student sections are pretty good. So it didn't bother me.
So it's not going to, if I get DOSed or when we're doing our vertical test
start heckling me, I think I'll be
to heckle you.
I think
not
I'll
going to affect you.
No. Here's the thing. I know that you are not athletic. So even if he was heckling me, how is that going to affect me by just saying, hey, I have to jump up and touch something?
You just may not have it. You may get rattled and you may not jump as high as your 19.5 vertical might go down to like 18.
I already said I would retire from everything if I lose. I mean, I have put it all on the line. I'll literally be unemployed. I'll be collecting.
We have you on record. We have you on record. Tyler's, our producer, has you now multiple times saying you will never come out. I mean, your poor girlfriend, like she'll be stuck with you 24/7 now.
I know. She'll just have to deal with me. But the good thing for her is I'm pretty confident that I could never lose to you. If it was somebody that was good, it would be like, all right, this is a legit possibility.
All right. So getting back to it, Kentucky is my number one fan base in America. Craziest, most rabid. Can anybody compare with Kentucky, Rob? I mean, Big Ten, there's some crazy ones in there.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'd put Kentucky 1-2. Their fan base is unmatched, I think, in terms of numbers, passion, crazy. Like you see it all with them. You really do. But I for the most part think there's some bad to it, and that's any fan base, but it's a lot of good. They're very passionate about Kentucky basketball. Indiana, I think you have to put up there in terms of some of the stuff you see there. I mean,
are they number one in the Big Ten? Because the Big Ten is hard. There's a few that are in there. For me,
Illinois.
I might put Illinois ahead of Indiana.
Yeah, Illinois' fan base is pretty wild, I would say. I got with the Curvelo stuff. I mean, all I said was he's not an All-American. I think he's an All-Big Ten guy, and they lost it. And with the concussion, who knows? He played like an All-American the other day.
He did.
Which honestly
is. I expect an apology.
He has not one game.
One game.
It's impressive that he sat around for 2 months and dealt with this concussion stuff and just come back and balled against Purdue. Yeah. That's hard to do.
No doubt. It was kind of like you.
But you know what? I've seen a lot of Indiana stuff too, and maybe that's a bias because I grew up in the state. But just some of the stuff that you see with like the Brad Stevens stuff, where everybody's saying it's not going to happen, but there's still like packs of people who are just like, yes, it is.
I had to ask him. Do you remember? I had to ask him after it's post.
No, I remember at 3x3U, you almost got in a fight with somebody because there was one person. If you Titus was adamant.
I don't remember.
No, Titus was you and Titus and Mark.
Oh, Titus.
Titus he really believed it though. He did. I think
he couldn't have been that dumb to believe it. He really believed Brad Stevens was going.
I mean, we would have to ask him, but I asked him at 3x3U, I feel like, and he was like, no, I really believed he was coming. I really think he did.
Wow.
But I just, I've seen a lot in Indiana where I've heard some of the stuff that gets said in the crowd as a player. And I've been there as a broadcaster where random 75-year-old fan comes up to me and asks me to take my headset off so he can tell me that it's a disgrace that I'm calling the game on the floor, points to the top and says, they should make you call the game from up there. Like, I've seen that, but that's what makes it a good rivalry. That's why tonight is going to be awesome. Right. If he came up to me and was like, welcome to Assembly Hall, we're happy to have you here. That's not, I mean.
You don't want that.
No, you don't. So I think Indiana's fan base is got to be up there. Illinois is, if not tied, right behind them.
Yeah.
Those would be Louisville. I think at times can be pretty crazy.
Yeah. NC State was really bad. They've been bad to me over the years. Like I usually feel it out on Twitter. Like Twitter's the way I can kind of tell. And that's not fair necessarily because you've got a younger audience, obviously, on Twitter. But those NC State fans, obviously, yes, you know me. Sometimes I'll kind of needle certain fan bases when I know.
Yeah, right. You're freaking taking. Needling is not the word.
All right.
You are inciting fan bases. The Glee tweeted out like the Steven stuff. I knew you were just sitting on your phone giggling like a little kid as you tweeted out that he was gonna, do something else.
I had to ask him. I felt it was my obligation to ask him.
That's high journalistic integrity by you.
Had to do it because those fans that like Titus. I just wanted Titus to understand that it wasn't gonna. I was doing it for Mark Titus and some of those other delusional Indiana fans that thought
what a guy you are,
Brad Stevens.
What about Purdue's fan base? Would you put them? I mean, they're pretty passionate.
Top 10. Yeah, Purdue's. The thing with Purdue's fans, I don't know if I've ever gotten them to hate. Like, I don't think they've ever hated me enough. So, like,
I feel like in order to hate you, there has to be some really perfect storm conditions. Like for Kentucky and Indiana, their histories are so good that when they're bad, it can and Purdue's history is great, but it when you're talking about national championships and Final Fours, it's not the same as those. I
think the most upset they ever got at me when I'll put out there something like the top atmospheres, and I won't put Mackey in. At one point I didn't have him in the top 10. Now I do.
That's egregious. They should be upset. That is easily a top 10 atmosphere and has been for. It's like when we used to play remember the video game NCAA basketball?
Yeah.
In that game, which we would play all the time as players, and believe me, it was so fun. Like, we'd play as ourselves.
Yeah.
And they would rank the top 25 atmospheres. And if you had one that was a venue that was a top 25, you could start like during free throws, mashing buttons, and like the screen would shake. And Purdue wasn't even in the top 25. We were like, dude, we played these games and this place is better than 99% of the places we play. How is this possible? And you know what? It's because of people like you who didn't even have us in the top 10 is why NCAA basketball 09 had us like 50th in arena atmosphere.
How was your athleticism in that game?
You know what? I could not shoot for shit, but if you gave me the ball on the block, I would murder anybody. They did not have me right.
Up.
I swear to God. Yes. It was like I would edit my player. I was like, please, 75 3-point shooting? Like, this is at least 90, 95. So I cranked that up, and then I would not touch the post thing because, I didn't want to, even though my rating in that was way too high.
Would you take away when you added to your own, would you have to take away from like each one by adding to you?
No, I would just suit me up is what I would do. I was just like, make me a super player so that I can.
Unstoppable. Robbie Hummel is unstoppable.
This is what I want. This is what I want in real life. So this is what.
It's like Larry Bird.
Yeah, this is great. Bobby Riddell, one of our walk-ons, he was in the game one of the years, and they made him so athletic. I mean, Bobby's like 5'11", flamethrower shooter. He's going out there. You put him in the game, he'd drive the ball and just tomahawk on guys. I mean, it was like he had to be so hyped because the video game made him sick. He was so good in the game.
They must have confused him with somebody else, right?
I don't know who. Yeah, freaking Vince Carter or something. I don't know. He could see the dunks he was throwing down.
Oh, man. All right. Before we move off craziest fan bases, I do want to just apologize to the Lubbock faithful, to the Red Raider fans for putting him last, for anything that I might have said that offended Lubbock, Texas. I was there a couple of years ago. Again, love the town, love the city. It is a little bit tough to get to. And that's kind of my take on the Texas Tech job a little bit, is it's not quite as easy to get kids there. Now, again, Mark Adams just done one hell of a job, and I didn't know he'd be able to do this as a head coach. But listen, we'll see. Right now, they're ecstatic because they got Chris Beard coming to town on February 1st.
Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait. It's going to be hilarious.
And they got their chest puffed out. They're ready to go because now they're all going to be, and they're, you know what their nickname is for Beard?
What?
Country Club Chris. Because he went to Texas. He went to the country club.
That's pretty good.
It is.
You know what? I respect Texas Tech's fan base just because they really believed that he was going to stay and that he was one of that. And when he didn't, boy, it's on now.
And they believe their job is better. They believe their job is better. And in one way it is.
The fans
because
support. At Texas, they don't do it. They don't care at all.
Nope.
I mean, the fans there are so just whatever. I mean, there's a lot to do in Austin. They find ways to fill that football stadium, but they don't.
You know what you're not getting to Lubbock, though? And this is what I try to tell their fan bases. You're not getting Kevin Durant to Lubbock, Texas. You're not. You're getting him. You're getting him to Austin. You're getting him to Texas. To me, that's why Chris Beard left. He got to a national title game.
Well, he was a manager there. I mean, he's gone to school at Texas. So while I think the problem lied in the fact that he had ingratiated himself to the fans so much, and don't worry, I won't leave. And then, when in reality, I think if you're more honest, even if it's not what they want to hear necessarily on the back end, it wouldn't be maybe as bad. They wouldn't like him because they hate Texas, but I don't think he would be the same level of.
No, he needed to come out. He needed to come out and say, hey, I'm going home. This is where I went to. If I was him, I would have said that 1,000 straight times. Every time I was interviewed was, hey, listen, I'm home now. This is where I went to school. It's nothing against Texas Tech. I'm here not because I think Texas is a better job, but if you have a chance to coach your alma mater, you do it. You do it, period. So I think that's probably where he screwed up, if anything. But yeah, that atmosphere.
The fact that he didn't, that makes this all the much better for us to watch on February 2nd, whenever this